Our third and final video on integers should be our easiest one yet. It's very straightforward if you just keep two rules in mind. Number one, if I have the same sign, my answer is always positive. Understand what I'm saying? If I have a positive and a positive, my answer is positive. That's been true since you were in 3rd and 4th grade. However, if I have a negative times a negative, or a negative divided by a negative, my answer is still positive. Same signs. Positive, positive, negative, negative is going to give me a positive answer. This little face is always going to be happy, either with positive signs or negative signs as its eyeballs. When it comes to opposite signs with multiplication and division, then it makes the little guy unhappy, doesn't it? It can be a negative followed by a positive, or a positive followed by a negative. Opposite signs are always going to give me a negative answer. So let's look at the front examples that I gave you on your practice sheet. If I have 7 times 4 as positive numbers, it's just positive, right? Straightforward multiplication since 3rd grade. Well, if I have negative times negative, negative 7 times negative 4, it's still the same sign. So my answer is still going to be a positive 28. If I change it though, if one of them is a negative and one of them is a positive, opposite signs, 4 times 7 is still 28, but the opposite signs tell me that my answer is going to be negative. Division works the exact same way. If I take 35 divided by 5, my answer is 7 no matter what mathematically. However, if it's negative divided by a negative, I still have the same sign. Negative and negative, same sign, so it's still going to be a positive 7. No matter what, same sign is a positive answer. But if one of them is a negative and one of them is a positive, I have opposite signs, then I know my answer has to be a negative. The math is still the same as you learned at the end of 3rd grade and all of 4th grade. 35 divided by 5 is still 7, but when I look at those signs and their opposites, I know it has to be a negative. So let's work through these practice problems. I start with multiplication, and then we're going to do division. The math is very basic math. It's just remembering what sign to keep. Some of them I've included parentheses so we can separate the signs. The parentheses don't change the math. It's not an order of operations parentheses. It's a parentheses to separate the symbols of positive negative numbers versus the math symbols that are in the problem. Negative 6 times 7. Well, on these, we're going to start with looking at the signs. What signs do I have? Well, I have opposite signs. The 7, once again, didn't have anything with it, so I know it's a positive. Same thing on the last 2 videos. A number without a sign is always going to be a positive number. So if I have a negative and a positive, then I know my answer has to be a negative. And if it's a negative, when I multiply those together, 6 times 7 is 42. So my answer is just negative 42. When I go to 7 times negative 3, that's going to be a positive 7 and a negative 3. Opposite signs. And opposite signs in multiplication and division of integers tell me my answer is going to be negative. And then I just do the math. 7 times 3 is what? Well, 7 times 3 is 21. So I know my answer is a negative 21. 6 times negative 10. Once again, I look at my signs. I have a positive and I have a negative. The 6 didn't have anything with it, so it's automatically that understood positive. They are opposites, so I know my answer has to be a negative. Same pattern all the time, right? Well, then I multiply 6 times 10. 6 times 10 is 60, so I know my answer is negative 60. On my fourth one, when I go to it and I look at my signs, then it's changed. Now I have the same signs. They're both negative. Remember, multiplication and division of integers, if they're both the same sign, then that means it's a positive answer. So 2 negatives make a positive when it comes to multiplication and division, and then I'm just left with the multiplication of 3 times 5. 3 times 5, basic multiplication, is 15, so I know my answer is a positive 15. Now, some of you are not going to want to take that split minute portion of a second to write a positive sign, and you're just going to put a 15. That's okay. I'm not going to count it wrong because a positive 15 and a 15 without a positive sign is still 15. You're good to go. Continuing to multiply. Opposite signs on this one. 8 times negative 2, because that's an understood positive. So opposite signs tell me that my answer is indeed negative. Straightforward multiplication of 8 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. So my answer is negative 16. A negative 4 times a negative 4. Well, 2 negatives make what? Make a positive. When I multiply 4 times 4 then, 4 times 4 is 16. So my answer is a positive 16. Negative 9 times negative 3. Same sign. Same signs give me what type of answer? Positive answer. Then I do my multiplication. 9 times 3 is what? Well, 9 times 3 is 27, so I know my answer is a positive 27. And then I go to that one, negative 3 times 15, opposite signs, negative and a positive, so I know my answer has to be a negative. And when I show up my math, 3 times 15, I know it's 45, so I'm going to get an answer of negative 45. Now I know I'm working through those quickly because I don't want the video to take a long time. And if you aren't keeping up on your practice sheet, then what do? Just simply pause the video, make sure you stay up, and unpause it and continue to watch. Because now we're going to look at division. Division works the exact same way, however, I divide my math instead of multiplying. 96 divided by a negative 12, I still start by looking at my signs, so I know what form my answer needs to be in. I have a positive and a negative. Opposite signs tell me my answer has to be a negative. Then I do my division. 96 divided by 12. I type in my handy dandy calculator after I've set up my problem. 96 divided by 12 equals, and I get 8. So I know my answer is a negative 8. Negative 40 divided by negative 10. Same signs. Same signs in multiplication and division tell me to make it a positive. So I know this is going to be a positive answer. 40 divided by 10, I write down my math problem, so I get the credit for showing my work. And 40 divided by 10 is a 4. So I know, I don't know why I put 16. It should be a positive 4. My apologies. Negative 55 divided by positive 5. Well, negative 55 and a positive, opposite signs, so I know my answer has to be a negative. My multiplication problem is 55 divided by 5. I know 55 divided by 5 is 11, so my answer ends up as negative 11. Negative 63 divided by 9. That's going to drive me crazy leaving it as a 16. I apologize. Negative 63 divided by 9. Well, I'm going to have signs that are opposites. And if opposites, it tells me that my answer is a negative. So I have a negative answer, and then I do my division. 63 divided by 9, and 63 divided by 9 is indeed a negative 7. My last few, still division, still the same steps, the same process. I always start with my signs. Negative 63 divided by negative 3, and negative divided by a negative. Same sign, so I know my answer has to be a positive form. 63 divided by 3 then, when I type it into my handy dandy calculator, I get that it's 21. So my answer is simply a positive 21. Once again, that minute second that it would take to write down the positive sign, if you don't want to, you don't have to. But if it would be a negative, you have to write it down. Opposite signs. Negative 8 divided by positive 2. Opposite signs tell me that I have a negative answer. So then I write down my math problem of 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So I know my answer is a negative 4. Negative 90 divided by negative 10. Same signs in addition or multiplication and division tells me my answer has to be positive. So I have 90 divided by 10 as my math work, and 90 divided by 10 tells me that answer is a positive 9. And then I have 36 divided by negative 6. I have opposite signs, so I know it has to be a negative answer. and then I do my work. 36 divided by 6, and 36 divided by 6 is -6. Once again, should be the easiest lesson out of the 3 when it comes to integers, because my math has not changed at all. I've been multiplying since 3rd grade, I've been dividing since the end of 3rd grade and all of 4th grade, so we know how to multiply and divide. The only difference is remembering, 2 positives are positive, 2 negatives are positive. The same signs give me a positive answer. If one is negative and then a positive, or a positive and then a negative, then my answer has to be a negative. Opposite signs give me a negative answer. Now you have your homework assignment. It's mixing negatives or multiplication and division together. Short video, which means let's make our math corrections that we have. Let's ask questions on things we haven't understood. And then our next video is going to be Chapter 8 on inequalities.